Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 1 of What If Naruto Became a Green Lantern. If you guys enjoy this what if, and want to see part 2 of it, comment down below and let me know. The like goal for this video is 200 likes. So like this video, to let me know that you're interested in this series, and you want the next part. Check out my new videos of My Hero Academia what ifs in my second channel, and give it some love as well. Link is in the description. And go ahead, and check out other what ifs in the channel. Before we start, please do support for more awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, and also share this video with your friends. So let's start this video. The fourth Great Ninja War is over. Tobi and Kabuto have been defeated, though not without cost. Naruto most of all suffering from his most personal loss since Jiraiya dying. Losing Sakura, the woman he loved, and having to kill the man who did the deed, his former best friend Sasuke. As the village hidden in the leaf rebuilds and the elemental nations looking at true peace, Naruto's dream to become Hokage, his lifelong goal, no longer matters. For the first time in his life, he does not know what to do. Until the Ring of the Fallen Green Lantern Tomari chooses him for his ability to overcome fear. But Kurama, the Kyuubi no Kitsune, is the only guide he has from his world. Naruto embarks on a new adventure. Onto a new world of heroes and villains, and perhaps the chance to start anew and find a new goal for himself. As the new Green Lantern. Sector 2813. Neighboring sector to 2814. Once upon a time it was known to hold the planet Krypton in the Rao system before it was destroyed. The same planet that gave wind to Superman being on Earth. With its destruction, it seemed that not much else except your usual trouble happened in this sector of the universe, unless it involved its adjoined neighbor or some big bad trying to destroy the universe. Save for one planet, it seems, he thought. The planet named Ajnin. These were the thoughts of Green Lantern Tomari as he lay dying in a forest, with a gaping wound on his ribcage, laying on his back looking at the night sky. The Zudarian was finishing his usual patrol around his sector, heading to the planet in question. As he headed in its direction, however, he was soon attacked by a man with a familiar face. A face belonging to the protege of his close friend Ibn Sir, the rogue lantern Sinestro. Sinestro had once been known to be Tomar's friend as well as comrade in arms until his betrayal. Tomar's mind recalled the events that lead to his fate. Above Ajnin's atmosphere 1 hour ago, Tomari, honor guard of the Green Lantern Corps, was finishing his usual patrol of his sector, before returning to Oa, when he saw a flash of yellow appear above the 4th planet in the Aku system. Tomari flew toward it to investigate. Tomari could not believe his eyes when he saw Sinestro floating above Ajnin, his arms crossed behind his back, gazing upon the planet as if it were a new favorite toy. The former Green Lantern hovered using his trademark yellow power ring, for he now wore a yellow mockery of the Green Lantern uniform. Since betraying his fellow lanterns, Sinestro had formed his own Sinestro Corporation, and been steadily recruiting for it by supplying yellow power rings that could detect those that have the ability to instill fear, much as Green Lantern rings could detect those who could overcome it. However, their numbers were still far and in between. Also, the Sinestro Corps were forced to look for recruits on their own, since they had yet to acquire a means to guide their rings to selected recruits. Though why would Sinestro come to this planet, Tomari did not know. But he was about to find out. Flying from behind Sinestro, Tomari aimed his ring at Sinestro, prepared to fire. "Turn around, Sinestro," he yelled. Sinestro turned around slowly, a smirk on his face as he saw the lantern who yelled at him. "Tomar, it has been some time," said Sinestro. "Hands where I can see them, you're under arrest." Tomari responded, ring hands still trained on Sinestro, glowing and ready to fire. Sinestro just shrugged his shoulders with a smile, staying as he was. "Is that any way to greet an old friend and comrade?" he asked sarcastically. "Like you have any right to say that after all the Green Lanterns you've killed?" Tomari responded angrily, about ready to fire his ring. Sinestro just ignored his threat and continued, "You know, for once, Tomari, you and I have actually made the same mistake, or rather the Guardians and I have made the same mistake." He turned his head back to the planet behind him. "We all assumed that aside from Krypton, there was nothing remarkable about this sector. Until I began to take notice of this planet." "What are you on about? Ajnin is basically the same as Earth, both in the planet's ecology and its people's biology," said Tomari, confused as to why Sinestro was explaining something that they both already knew themselves. Now did he think about it, why was Sinestro himself here for a recruitment mission? Before he knew, however, he found his arms and legs bound in a yellow construct version of an alien rack, his wrists and ankles chained. "He lured me into a trap. Idiot," thought Tomari as Sinestro raised his ring hand, held in a fist, pulling upon his construct, so it floated nearer to him until they were inches apart. "Now that I have your full attention," Sinestro began in his infamously arrogant tone, as if talking to an ignorant child. "While on the surface this race may seem identical to humans, there is one key difference." He turned his head to the planet below. "Down there, beneath yours and the Guardians' notice, the people of that planet have harnessed a power to rival that of the Lantern Corps themselves." He explained excitedly, "That power will belong to me, and the Sinestro Corps," he continued. Tomori's eyes grew wide at Sinestro's claim. Had he been that ignorant? Had he not seen that down on this planet that there could be a possibility of another source out in the universe that could rival the Green Lantern Corps? No? He thought as he remembered Sinestro's words he said Lantern Corps, as in all the Lantern Corps, he realized. Sinestro encompassed himself. A shame you will not live to see it, he spoke calmly as he created a cutlass sword, poised himself and lunged at Tomori. Tomor mustered all his willpower into his ring, and managed to free his right arm, his ring arm, and created a shield at the last instant to keep the blade from stabbing into his chest. With Sinestro's surprise, his broke the rest of his limbs from the rack construct, created his own gauntlet construct upon his left hand, and punched Sinestro in the face. With him reeling from the punch, Tomori pressed his attack, changing his gauntlet to a proton grenade, and threw at Sinestro, hoping to destroy him once and for all with a surprise attack. However, Sinestro recovered from the punch just in time to see the grenade coming and put a shield with what looked like reinforced plating around himself as the grenade struck his shield and exploded with massive force. When the smoke cleared, Sinestro was still there with his shield and a smile on his face. "Can't use my own trick against me, Tomor," he yelled. But rather where he was as Sinestro looked around to no longer see Tomor in his previous spot. He looked around only to find Tomor below him, with an energy cannon ready to fire. This time, Sinestro was prepared. He disengaged his shield and created a large broadsword, and flew at Tomori in a zigzag formation, so Tomor couldn't target him with his cannon, flew under until he was practically in front of him. Gripping the sword in both hands, he brought down upon him with as much force as he could. Tomor barely had time to react, before he changed his cannon into a long sword and blocked Sinestro's downward swing. Their blades locked briefly with Sinestro trying to overpower Tomor with him towering over his enemy with his superior height. Tomor soon realized this, and disengaged, then went on the attack with a side swipe which Sinestro distanced himself from. The two then swung their blades at each other in different arcs, their blades making sparks with each clash of energized blades. One made from fear, the other will. But Sinestro was still the better in close-range combat. Tomor knew that, as soon as Sinestro shattered his sword construct. He fired a few blasts from his ring, but Sinestro quick made a shield and deflected the attacks and threw it at Tomori, hitting him in the stomach and sending him flying toward Ojnin's atmosphere. Tomor managed to stop himself, but didn't recover fast enough to avoid Sinestro stabbing him in the chest right beside the sternum with a short sword construct. The intense pain from the blade's edge and dark purple blood gasping from his mouth told him what he needed to know. The wound was fatal. Surprisingly, Sinestro seemed almost solemn as he looked upon his former friend keeling over. "For what it's worth, Tomor, part of me wishes it hadn't come to this. You were one of the best Green Lanterns next to myself," he said as he looked at Tomori, breathing his few remaining breaths. "But you never understood. The universe needs fear to bring order to it. This world will provide me the means to instill that order. That is what Hal Jordan never understood. That is what the Guardians never understood," he said, speaking as if to a captive and obedient audience. "First of all, I am sick of hearing about your brand of order," said Tomori as rose his head to meet Sinestro's gaze, coughing up more blood as he spoke. Then with the last of his strength slammed a green construct on Sinestro's chest. "Second, Hal Jordan sends his regards," he stated. Since it was talking with Hal that gave him the idea, which Sinestro just realized as looked at the green device on his chest firing what appeared to be a small rocket. The next thing he knew, it was flying across space from the rocket's propulsion. The initial blast, however, sent Tomor falling toward Ojnin's surface at a pace that could not allow him to stop in his condition. He was able to use the ring to help him survive through the atmosphere, but that was it. Soon passing it, he looked from the corner of his eye and saw he was rapidly approaching what appeared to be a forest. He then crashed into the ground, the impact forcing him up, then landing again, skidding upon the ground before stopping on his back. Present time, he had since been falling in and out of conscious ever since, his wound bleeding out. He knew he was dying. He needed to 3 things before he was put in forever sleep, as some people called it. Tomori barely managed to raise his ring arm to create a message to as a bin Sir had. "This Tomori of Sector 2814. I've encountered Sinestro, suffered heavy wounds. I'm bleeding out, dying. If you receive this message, I've made arrangements for my family. My will and testament are in my quarters. This message will be sent along with the new recruit who receives my ring and battery." He took laboring breaths as he tried to continue. Sinestro was looking for something on this world. It is called Ojnin in the Aku system. I believe he was looking for new recruits, ones who had powers additional to the rings. This planet has something he wants. He wheezed, coughing up blood. "I only hope that we find it first," he finished with a final statement. "Please, tell my son that I died with honor, and that I always loved him." He ended what would be his final log entry to his ring. Then he raised his arm to the sky, his hand clenched into a fist, and sent the beacon to her. He hoped they would find it in time. He also managed, with the last of his strength, to summon his battery from the pocket dimension he had set up in this system. The small black hole opened, and the battery materialized right next to his body. There goes the easy part, he thought as he then looked at his ring. Though, choose well, he whispered with his breathing getting more and more difficult. It was then that the ring left his hand and flew into the sky searching for its next user. Little did he or how anyone else would know how these events would shape the very future of this world and others. For the ring chooses the wielder who has the ability to overcome fear. And there's one here on the planet Ojnin who could overcome fear better than all those who had come before this ring bearer. One who could change the balance of power. One who would join not just the Green Lantern Corps but also join others as well in the battle against fear. He just didn't know that he had been chosen yet. The fourth great ninja war was over. In difference to the others before it, this one was the shortest, only lasting 3 days. Madara Uchiha was dead, this time forever. Kabuto had been trapped in an endless genjutsu loop, and his army at rest and at peace. The Beto Uchiha had redeemed himself in the eyes of Konoha and Kakashi. Above all, Kaguya, the goddess and progenitor of all chakra, and Black Setsu, her immortal servant, were sealed away, unable to trouble the world again. In the sight of the soon-to-be rebuilt Konoha, it was a time of celebration as the ninja army rejoiced over the end of this bloody conflict. This was not just an event for the villagers of Konoha, but for all the ninja villages. Lovers were united, new bonds of friendship forged, and camaraderie proven. Those that celebrated knew in the back of their minds that this was not just about a war's end, or their survival to see that victory. They also knew that on this day the world had changed forever. No longer were there separate ninja nations any longer. With this war, they realized that what happened in the past between them was behind them. Old wounds healed. Scars faded. A long-lasting era of peace and unity was soon to be upon them. Though it was not without a price. Many had died in the great ninja army. Those that had fallen were held in memorial service days before. Many of those that lived would return to their villages to bury and mourn their dead. These were the thoughts running through his mind. For you see, 3 people were not among the fellow ninjas celebrating tonight. 2 were dead. The third was sitting on the Hokage monument, the one thing that was not destroyed during Pain's attack. His clothes were still tattered from his battle with his former best friend with his headband in his left hand, while his right hand and arm was mostly recovered from the final blow. His name was Naruto Uzumaki. Many in the new ninja world looked to him as their hero, their savior. Though knowing their own battles and victories in this war, they saw him as their beacon of hope. If only they could see me now, he thought, looking upon the masses below. Looking down at what would be Konoha again, to the masses who were at the moment drinking, dancing, laughing, talking about what would come the next morning. Some he could even see grieving for the loss of loved ones. Naruto looked most of all at his friends. How the Konoha 7 were interacting with each other, and with the Sand villagers. Especially the Sand siblings. Or in Shikamaru's case, Temari. How Shikamaru was trying to handle casualty in troop reports, when Temari finally got him away from it to dance with her. Lee was trying to get past a wheelchair-bound guy sensei for his first taste of sake. Neji, in a rare bit of emotion, hugged Tenten after the war's end. A hug she received with a glowing face. Naruto allowed himself a small smile at scenes below him. Happy that his friends were free to enjoy themselves after the war. Enjoyment that he himself would never have. The small smile faded at the thought, until he heard his now complete partner speak. It doesn't have to be that way. A voice reverberated in his mind. That got Naruto's attention. I thought you were sleeping, Kurama, said Naruto. I have been awake for a while now, thank you. I just decided to keep silent until I heard what you were thinking. Kurama responded. I thought you stopped looking into my head, Fox, said Naruto, little pissed that Kurama was checking in on his thoughts again. Can't help it when you're projecting so loudly in here, kid, said Kurama, chuckling a bit at Naruto's frustration, but quickly becoming serious again. Since the battle with Sasuke ended, Kurama had been silent, keeping his voice unheard as the emotional turmoil of his host had reached its boiling point. Immediately after Kaguya Otsutsuki had been sealed and the tailed beasts liberated, Sasuke had decided to make himself priority 1 again. Itachi's proclamation of love to his little brother, or their alliance and shared power, did not seem to affect the decision Sasuke made to try and take control of the power of the tailed beasts for his own, and issue in his own way of making peace, by killing the Kages and making an empire of his own. Which led Naruto and Sakura to follow him Valley of the End, and their ultimate fate. Sakura went in first to try and reason with him to make him see his folly. Instead, Sasuke was deaf to her pleas and her declaration of love once more. So she tried to fight him alone to spare Naruto further pain. That's when it all went wrong. For soon Naruto found out from Kurama where Sakura was. Knowing that while Sakura was a strong kunoichi that was at least on Tsunade's level, he knew in his heart that even if she wanted to, she could not defeat Sasuke with his newly acquired Rinnegan Eye. So, he followed her as he always did. Flashback. It was night. It was raining. It seemed to always rain after battles in the Valley of the End. Or rather, what was left of it. The fight that had taken place had left another scar on the land, much like the first battle that had formed it so long ago. Naruto, bruised and bleeding from the wounds he suffered, especially to his right arm, looked down at the corpse of his now former best friend as he sunk into the water. Even after what he had done, it gave him no satisfaction to see him sink. In a way, it symbolized the end result that Naruto, deep down in his heart, knew would happen. He had simply never acknowledged it until this very moment. Turning away from Sasuke's sinking corpse, he looked at the body that he held in his arms, even with the right one in pain. The adrenaline wears off, and the anger fades as he looks down at Sakura's body, her eyes closed never to open again. He comes to the realization. Sakura Haruno, the girl he loved, was dead. The tears start pouring. He walks from the river to the riverside, where he kneels near collapsing from the sheer weight of what had happened. Tears mingled with rain. No loud yell of rage as he just cradles her body. Him shaking while the tears pour down his face as Tsunade and Shizune arrive. Then flashback. What happened to her was tragic, but take this to heart, Naruto, it was not your fault. Kurama's voice snapped Naruto out of his thoughts. How is it not? I couldn't see what everyone else had shown right in front of their faces. Naruto mentally shouted. How come it took Sakura dying to make me see that there was no other way to stop him? Deep down I knew that the only way to end this was one of us to kill the other, yet You still hope you could change him. Kurama said as Naruto's mental rant halted for a moment. You would not be who you are if you didn't try. Some people just can't be saved, not even by you. He continued mournfully. Naruto was about to respond when he heard footsteps behind him, stood up and turned to see Tsunade without a bottle of sake in hand for the first time since the celebration started. Eyes widened, Naruto turned away from her, tears about to come out again. He couldn't face her. Sakura was her student, nearly a daughter to her. Tsunade knew what Naruto was doing up on the Hokage monument. So she made the trip, limping up the mountain, and not from booze. For once she seemed sober. She realized that drowning herself in despair wasn't going to help. She was still weakened from her and the other four Kage's battle with the resurrected Madara Uchiha. When she had regained consciousness and found that Madara had left to find Naruto, Tsunade felt shame. Shame that after all of their blustering, their confidence, they still had to rely on Naruto to fight perhaps one of the most powerful ninja of all time. Anger that Madara felt that they weren't worth his time and that Naruto had to clean up their mess. Something that he seemed to be doing a lot of lately. Finally pride for when Naruto had somehow managed to stand against him even with the first Hokage's power added to his own along with the Beto. Even more so to defeating a godlike being such as Kaguya. To see him become the savior, that Jiraiya envisioned him to be as the child of prophecy. However, what should have been the beginning of a joyous new year, instead began in tragedy. Sakura dying was almost as much a blow to her as it was to him. For she seemed to understand that this may be a final blow for Naruto's heart. Though there were many things that Tsunade loved about Sakura, what irritated her was her still seemingly unable to acknowledge, or even attempt to reciprocate the love that Naruto bore for her. Even when Naruto seemingly did everything that a guy could do right. Not force his love on her, save her life, and the villagers live several times, be kind and loyal to her, even after Hinata confessing her love for Naruto. Then again, the only one who would know what she was doing going after Sasuke was Sakura herself. And now neither she nor Naruto would ever learn the answer. That was why Tsunade knew she had to go to him. Why do you turn away from me, Naruto? Asked Tsunade. I failed, said Naruto. Sakura went there of her own free will. She knew the risk. The risk we all take as shinobi. No blame is on you. But I should have killed Sasuke after he nearly killed Sakura the first time. I should have gone after him as soon. Naruto tried to explain, but Tsunade grabbed his shoulder, turned him around, and grabbed him by the front of his jacket, forcing him to look at her. Tsunade was repressing her own tears as she continued. Do you think she would want you to wallow in grief? No. She would want you to live, to continue on and live your dream of becoming Hokage. She yelled in his face. Finally, she took a few breaths before letting him go. They just stood and looked at each other for a few seconds before Tsunade spoke again. Do you think it was easy? Seeing her body burning as she was cremated. Next to Shizune, she was the best student I ever had. She even had the potential to surpass me one day. She died to try and protect you, because she knew the promise you made to her was causing you pain. In a way, she got what she wanted in the end. You have got to move on, Naruto, for her sake, but especially for your own, said Tsunade, starting from commanding tone as the fifth Hokage and softening to something akin to a grandmotherly tone. She did not blame Naruto for what happened to Sakura. That did not mean that she didn't wish Sasuke had died a much more painful death than what he had received at Naruto's hands. She also noticed a change in Naruto. At first she thought it was grief, but then she noticed something as Naruto now raised his headband to look at it. There was anger, but also doubt and sadness. And that was never a good sign. I don't know if I want to be Hokage anymore, Granny, said Naruto. Tsunade's eyes widened in shock when she heard those words come from Naruto of all people. How can you say that? It was that dream that pushed you into where you are today. It had been what you have been seeking since your childhood, Tsunade asked. That's exactly my point. It was a child's dream, said Naruto. He then closed his eyes and took a deep breath. When he opened his eyes again, only then did Tsunade see how badly in despair he was. I don't know what I want anymore. I'm not even sure I should be Hokage. I mean, yeah, I can say that I happen to be one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful ninja of this generation. I could say I am one of the best fighters of this generation thanks to Hagoromo Otsutsuki. Not to mention I happen to be the most powerful of the Jinchuriki thanks to Kurama. Hell, I have proved it in this war, Naruto said. Inside his head Kurama was smiling, not just because of the last part of what Naruto said, but with honoring the old man. Tsunade normally would be lecturing him not to be so boastful. However, she knew that Naruto wasn't boasting. He was stating facts. Facts that have been proven over and over again. From his fights with the Akatsuki, to Pain, up to fighting Obito, Madara, Kaguya, and Sasuke, Naruto had more than proven his ability and valor. Something that World Tsunade was proud of him for, didn't know where he was going with. And yet with all this power, I couldn't save Sakura. He yelled, throwing his headband to the ground right at Tsunade's feet. Naruto, shaking with tears coming from his eyes, looked at Tsunade. I couldn't keep my promise to her. She died. Killed by Naruto took a breath to try and calm down. By someone I used to think of as a brother. The man she loved, Naruto said, while wiping his face with his sleeve. Kurama remained silent as Naruto finally let the emotional wall crumble. Tsunade reached out to comfort him, but Naruto turned away and continued. I knew she would never love me as I loved her. Even if events had changed, I know that probably nothing would have changed that. I just wanted her to be happy. Be with someone else even if it wasn't me. After what he had become, anyone else. And Sasuke took that choice away from her, said Naruto with Sasuke's name sounding like a curse on his lips. I understand that, but what does this have to do with you not wanting to be Hokage anymore, asked Tsunade. She then bent to pick up his headband with her left hand. She then walked toward Naruto, and used a free hand to take hold of his shoulder with her free hand to get him to look at her. We all know how much that promise meant to you, Naruto. But you can't give up everything for one failure. Sasuke fell into that dark pit of vengeance years ago. He pulled Sakura to her death because of it. She then grabbed the back of his neck to gently make him look at her with eyes shining from unseen tears of her own. And no one, not even you, could have stopped it. She said directly to his face. I don't know whether or not she was still in love with him or not. But I do know this Sakura did what she did because of how much pain your promise to her was causing you, and she wanted it to end. She tried to stop him herself. That was not your fault. None of it was, Tsunade said. Naruto tried to protest, but Tsunade gripped his head tighter. She went there of her own free will, she reiterated before taking a breath and continuing. And she would not want her best friend to give up his dream because of it. She finished and let him go, hoping to get through to his thick skull. Naruto stood wide-eyed before he spoke again. It's not just with, Naruto was beginning to say when suddenly they saw something fall from the sky and land somewhere in the forest of death. What the hell was that? Said Naruto with Tsunade thinking the same. Do falling stars usually land in Konoha, Granny? Asked Naruto. No, they don't, Naruto, said Tsunade in response to his bad joke. Tempting thought it was to hit him, even after the heart-to-heart they shared for what seemed like hours. She had to wonder. What was it that just landed? Suddenly, a small green light shot up from the forest. From there, it flew straight toward their exact spot on the Hokage mountain. They braced themselves for the impact of what appeared to be a small comet until it stopped right in front of Naruto. And from what Naruto could see, it appeared to be a ring. Naruto stared at it, as if the ring was floating there, as if waiting for him to reach out. Which Naruto did. Naruto, don't touch. Kurama tried to warn him, but it was too late. Next thing they both knew, the ring had settled itself onto Naruto's right hand, and had sent him flying toward the forest of death. Naruto! Screamed Tsunade as Naruto was seemingly taken by the ring. Forest of death, 2 minutes later. Screamed Naruto as this accessory suddenly attached itself to his right middle finger, and sent him flying across Konoha into the forest of death past all the snakes and giant bugs, and before landing beside a crater face first. As Naruto grumbled, getting up from his face plant and rubbing the dirt off his face, Kurama spoke up. You idiot. What made you decide to reach for the damn thing? Yelled Kurama, making Naruto wince at the volume of his mental voice. I don't know. I just got the feeling that it was searching for me. Naruto responded. Before they could continue arguing, he heard moaning coming from the crater. He looked across, and was surprised to say the least of who, or rather what he saw. He saw what looked to be, as best he could tell, a man that looked like something between a fish and a bird, dressed in a green and black skin type uniform with a white circle with a green lantern pattern in it, and a domino mask across his eyes. He was tall, taller than Naruto in any case. Naruto further examined him, and saw that he had rather large wound in his ribcage near his sternum, bleeding purple blood. This of course overrode any common sense he had as he rushed to this person that clearly needed help. He ran towards him and noticed his breathing getting more irregular as he kneeled beside him, lifting the man's head up with his left hand and putting pressure on the wound with his right. Hey, can you hear me? Hey, he yelled, shaking the mysterious being to get him to stay conscious. The person in question opened his eyes suddenly and looked up to see Naruto, proving he was still alive. Naruto was no medical ninja, but even he could tell that whoever this guy was, he was hurt bad, and his wound was bleeding out, pouring into his hand. Even Naruto knew that he didn't have much time left. Hey, don't worry, I'm gonna get you back to my village. We have some of the best medical ninja around. They can save you. They can heal your wound and have a full supply of. He looked to check the wound. Purple blood. He said with some sarcasm which Kurama could understand. Okay, he's not normal, observed Kurama. Before Naruto could respond, the weird person spoke. Your name, what is your name? The strange being asked, trying obviously to stay conscious. Naruto Uzumaki. Responded Naruto. I am Tomari, Green Lantern of Space Sector 2813, Tomari said. Space Sector? Kurama, any idea what he's talking about? Hate to say it, but I'm as much in the dark as you are, kid, said Kurama. Then Tomari grasped Naruto's right hand. The hand that bore the strange ring that brought Naruto to him. The ring, it chose you, Tomari said with an almost smile on his face. Naruto looked down at his hand. Chose me? I don't understand, said Naruto as he turned back to his wounded guest that he could see was fading. Listen, we gotta. It's too late. He began before coughing up blood which stained the dirt he was lying in. I'm dying, listen to me. The ring chose you to take my place. Take it. To be chosen by this ring is the greatest of honors and the highest, breaths heavily, and greatest of responsibilities, explained Tomari while wheezing. He then pointed to what appeared to be a fire lamp or lantern that was next to him. The lantern will guide you, send message, use the lantern. Speak the oath to said Tomari, the wince in pain, speaking too much. Naruto could see from looking in his eyes that the life in them was fading. Hey, hold on. Don't you die yet. Naruto screamed, even though deep in his heart he knew what this person said was right. He was done for. Should have kept an eye on this planet. My fault, Tomar said as he grasped Naruto's hand tightly. Welcome, rookie, he said. Then his grip loosened until his hand let go. Then his eyes dimmed through the domino mask, and he breathed his last. No, Naruto said as he saw his eyes faded. The domino mask on his face disappeared, leaving his eyes exposed for the first time. He checked for a pulse on Tomar's neck. There was none to find. He was dead. Naruto closed his eyes tightly to keep more tears from falling out. He didn't know who he'd been, but judging from the uniform he was a soldier of some sort. Not a ninja, at least not one he was familiar with, but definitely a soldier. He laid Tomar's head down on the ground, taking his right hand from the wound, and then closed Tomari's eyes and made a silent prayer for him out of respect. Suddenly the ring on his finger, his right hand stained in Tomari's blood, began to glow. He heard a voice speak from the ring. Naruto Uzumaki. You have demonstrated the ability to overcome great fear, said the voice from the ring as the glowing suddenly got brighter. Welcome to the Green Lantern Corps. It finished. And then the glow grew so intense it engulfed Naruto's entire body and the surrounding area. Where new light dawns in shadow. Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoyed. If you want a next part of this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification, and also check out the other videos that I have created, and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace.